I'm Shane Nyland, and my co-host is Blake Musser. And these stories you're about to hear are from Weapons Company, 2nd Battalion, 4th Marines, 1st Marine Division, about the events surrounding and directly from the mouths of the people who were in Ramadi, 2004. All right, well, let's introduce you.
Okay, my name is Ranie Ruthig. In 2004, I was a newly promoted staff sergeant when I started going with the Weapons Company, which would have been the E6 Army Staff Sergeant. And I was with HHC 1st Engineers out of the 1st Infantry Division out of Fort Riley, Kansas.
Nice. Nice. And you guys were primarily based out of Junction City in Ramadi, is that right?
Yes, and that was named Junction City because Fort Riley is next to Junction City, Kansas.
Oh, that's funny.
Is that why? Ha!
That is why.
I see. This is one of the favorite parts of these conversations is all these fun little nuggets of where things were, why they were named, how they were named. That's awesome. Thank you for that one.
Yeah, that is why. When we came in, it was actually Camp Rifle. When we came in there, and because we came in October of 03.
Okay.
Okay.
So it was basically just us at Camp Rifle, and we renamed it to Junction City because the 1st Infantry Division took that area over, and we had nothing there. It was a nasty prison that was triple concertina wired up. They left everything when they left. So everything. The bodies were still there.
Oh, wow.
It was nasty going in there because we had a detachment of chemical guys with us. They had to put their chem suits on to get, to be able to dispose of those bodies correctly. I mean, a shower pit of like a 12-man shower pit. Women got a whole hour a day. We were so lucky. As a mechanic, that was awful because I was a track vehicle mechanic. Well, but when I turned as an E6, I turned into a wheel vehicle mechanic. And in that unit, I was the platoon sergeant for HHC for the maintenance. And then I was on their record besides. So we'd go out on late night missions and recovery, and our female shower time was at 1800. So if you did PT, you waited all day. Wasn't that nice? That was special.
Oh, the crazy rules that they made in combat.
Yeah, it was great.
Detached from reality.
It was.
So let's see. So how did you guys drive up then to do your release?
Yeah.
Is that?
Oh, yeah. And our convoy broke down right outside of Fallujah on the Cloverleaf.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we got to count our bullet holes when we came in, and we came in soft. So we came in naive. We had plywood in our doors and sandbags in our floors. Dumb.
Yeah, we weren't any better with our little tin half doors either. And
no, I remember we were out on a mission with 1-5 when I started watching your 7 tons come in about the end of March to April.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, end of March, you guys came in. And I watched you guys roll in. I'm like, oh, they just as dumb as we were. Look at them go. Because, everybody's dumb when you first came into country, especially back in 04, 03, 04.
Well, that was kind of what I was thinking is everybody did the push. There was the race to Baghdad and then the race to the outer areas. And then they just, well, now what do we do? And we had the transition. And so it's wild that you had, your experience almost mirrors ours, where the unit that was before us, they just left. They left everything right where it was and just left. We found trash and grenades that were buried and all kinds of stuff. Yep. So if I remember correctly, and I may be wrong, but you guys did some missions where you were out with the populace long before we were ever there.
Actually, we started doing Lioness missions with 1-5 Field Artillery was the most. That was Colonel Brinkley, our battalion commander,
right,
and Colonel Cambry. They were the brainchild of the Lionesses. They wanted to initially, I think, Colonel, I'm sure it was Cambry. He wanted to call us shield maidens. So they all, and he wanted just a female to go with, because they were learning, just like you guys learned as you went in there, that, you guys were losing so much intel. You couldn't touch the females. You couldn't touch the kids. And they're like, we got to have a female. Well, there was only, in our unit, there was 500 males and 19 females, because
wow.
we're an engineer unit. 1-5 had no one. 1/16 had no one. And some of the support units had something, but they weren't letting their females out, no males, because that rule was there. There was no females in combat. There was no everything else like that. But Colonel Cambry and Colonel Brinkley had a tight relationship. So they started talking about what does this look like? How do we protect them? And so Colonel Brinkley wasn't going to give out one female. He's like, because I can never guarantee your guys are going to protect my soldier.
Sure.
You're just not. And he's like, so you can't have one, you can have two. And so that's always went out as a pair. And so that way we could always protect each other. And so we always paired up pretty common with each other. So we would learn. So I went out pretty common with Shannon after we learned who could do what roles. So like when Shannon and actually it was Stone went on the very first Lioness mission, and I took them to him over 1-5, and it was before Christmas.
Okay.
It was right around, I want to say it was actually around, we got there in October, and I think we were doing it by November. We were going with 1-5. 1/16 didn't, they're infantry, so they don't think they need help. So they didn't call for us. That's how they are.
It's true. That's how we are too.
Yeah. They didn't call on us as much until they were some real big missions that we went out. So we started doing it, knocking searches, knocking greets, pretty regularly. I mean, probably at least once a week. But Shannon and Jessica Stone were the first to go out on that mission. And then because it was a night mission, and I remember they came back with intel, because that was the first time, hey, keep your hair down. And it's like, well, that seems a little weird, spend how many years of your military, put your hair up.
Right.
Telling me to put my hair down. And so after they went out and that proved to be so successful, they started doing more missions and more missions. Shannon seemed to get the weird shit. Shannon and Stone, they got teamed up together. They caught one. They ended up catching somebody, and they went into the prison because we got the prison cleaned up. And I think this was the last mission, because Stone ended up falling and breaking her leg and having to go back to the rear. So that was the last mission. They didn't do too many together before Shannon and I started doing them together. But they brought the prisoners into the prison to hold. And so they're standing outside, and they're and one of because we still had, some of the Iraqis that were the good guys and everything, and they were in there, and he started swallowing a sword. And I'm like, because I'm over there to pick him up, and I'm like, what is going on? I mean, he's up there and just swallowing the sword, and I'm like, what's going on? I don't know what's going on. But that was still when they were kind of everything. We were winning hearts and souls and minds.
Right.
Yeah.
We went to the schools. We did a lot of running over to Camp Hurricane and getting water. That good old water that we can't drink no more. Causing all those rashes. We went over there, and we'd bring them in because Ramadi get no water, so we'd bring it in the water. We'd let them drink it. We'd bring water into them. We do that, a lot of that kind of stuff, to win the hearts and minds going into the school. I remember that.
So your AO out of JC would have been more than Ramadi because of where you were. Were you getting into the other areas, or was it really only when missions were run in Ramadi?
So Lioness missions, we stuck with Ramadi area. I would go to TC, Anaconda, and stuff like that, but those were record missions.
Okay.
So I was a TC and then a gunner on a Hemet wrecker besides.
Okay.
So, I mean, I got out of the wire down to Baghdad and all that, but that was because we were on wrecker missions. So I got that.
Sure.
Too. So I got all that fun stuff.
Yeah. You know, and for us, for our unit, when we got there, I don't know if you've ever been to a Marine base, but anybody who's in as part of a Victor unit, there's literally no female presence at all in our training camp for our whole regiment.
Even our attachments, our attachments had to not have any females in it too.
Right. We had no
Especially back
female.
then.
We had no female
Back then.
mechanics.
I mean, it's different now, but yeah.
Yeah.
This is 04.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had no female mechanics. We had no female medical personnel. We had no female comm, nothing. I remember it was a huge deal. They could not get a dentist to come to our dental office forever. And they finally got temporary approval for a female dentist. And it was like, this was the only woman on our whole, 7,000 person camp. And everybody was like, you have to be nice and you can't use bad language when you walk by the dental office. Yeah, it was a huge deal.
I was the first female when they opened up the engineers. I was over in Korea. I was up and they opened up the engineers. And the first time, that was my very first duty station was Korea. And so I ended up going back over there after I actually elected to go back over there because I like the sense of mission and everything else like that.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't the reason that, you know, people go to Okinawa or, you know, Korea, because some women like to go over there because, you know, you're queen for the year. I didn't like it. I like the sense of the mission. You know, you had a job, you had a purpose. I like that. I know you guys are thinking.
No comment. No comment.
No, but that's hilarious.
But I love what you snuck in there. I caught it. And that's freaking hilarious.
Queen for a year. In America, she's a 3, but it's oh,
that's too funny.
Army, where some shit doesn't change.
No.
But I liked it, you know, because there was a sense of mission and everything. And I was in Kansas, and I went, oh my God, I don't want to be in Kansas. And the Army calls it the KKK tour, and they call it the Kansas, Korea, the Kansas tour. And that's what they like to do to you. That's, you know, that's what you're doing. You're going to Kansas, you go over to Korea for a year, and you come back. And they're like, how did you end up with a backwards KKK tour? And I said, well, I volunteered to go back. And I'm like, so the first time, because my name is Ranie and I was a track vehicle mechanic, the first time I went over there, I get to, you know, the turtle farm because, you know, it takes you a year to go to one building to the next. And, you know, in Korea, you know, because when you get there and then you cross the street and you come back and then you get out. And so just in processing, and I get there and they're like, well, so they come to pick me up and they're like, well, you're a female. And I'm like, last I checked. And they're like, well, you can't go up to the DMZ. And I'm like, I don't want to go up there. And so I ended up staying on Camp Casey. And then I ended up in a 701st support in Kansas and going back over there. And I had not heard that the engineers had opened up to females. And I ended up, I'm sitting around the turtle farm, got done taking our PT tests and getting all our shots, you know, everything with the new duty station, and you're overseas. And I'm like, okay. And they pull up and they tell you the duty stations and they're like, okay. And at that time, my name was Moore. And they're like, all right, Specialist Moore, you're going to 44th Engineer Battalion. And I went, holy shit, no, I'm a girl. Girl, they're still there. I'm a girl, you know, and they're like, oh yeah, the engineer's open to female. Fuck my life. And so that's why I ended up 12 miles from the damn DMZ and the first female to go on Camp House Korea. And so that was a very eye-opening experience because, you know, I was used to being I was in a male-dominated MOS, and a maintenance field is male-dominated anyway. But to go on to a post with, you know, I am like female number 1, it's like, they're like, oh my God. And engineers are, you know, they're just as bad as infantry and everything else. They're peeing everywhere. They're cussing. And I'm like, you know, I have enough years in the military by this time. I don't.
Sure.
They're like, oh my God, it's a girl. And I'm like, Yeah, it was good time. So yeah, I do. I understand all that whole thing with the men going like, "It's a girl."
Yeah.
Well, we had gotten in trouble even the one time when we were on our way over to Iraq in the first place. Our plane broke down a couple of times, and the one time we were at a Air Force base for a little bit,
Oh,
and we were
Lord.
running PT, and we were singing some motivational cadences, and gotten a little bit of asked to tone down our favorite verses, and so got to mind our P's and Q's apparently. But so you were running your, so how could you kind of going back to the Iraq time frame, and
Mhm.
how did, was there a selection process after they had come up with this this brainchild, or did they just grab people?
So only the only females that did it was in the First Engineer Battalion. Colonel Brinkley's females were the only one. Our battalion also was the only only battalion that commingled. So we slept right next to the male soldiers.
Oh.
Colonel Brinkley, I think he did an amazing job of making us, not that we were untouchable, but we took away the pedestal. Because
Right.
The infantry or the 1-5s would come up to the guy sleeping next to us and be like, "Oh my God, you're sleeping next door. You're sleep right next to Ruthig. That must be so cool." And they'd be like, "Ew, no, that's Ruthig, man," because it'd be like sleeping with your sister by then.
Right.
You know,
Sure.
they took all the joy, of the unattainable just away.
Right.
I think that was the smartest thing Colonel Brinkley did. The other thing is our company commander was a female. I'm on a wrecker and the platoon sergeant for the maintenance. So, I mean, I need to be with the male soldiers. And then we have Shannon too in maintenance. And like every section has at least one female. Now the cooks have a lot. Cooks, I mean, it seems cooks and medics are where all the chicks are at. That's just where they go. And of course, like we didn't have a lot in the admin. It was basically a few in supply, but it was mainly cooks and medics. And we started the selection at one point in time, especially when everything went down shaking hard, all
Yeah.
19 of our females, to include Captain Pendry or Major Colonel Gust Horseman, is when she got out, were out on a mission. I mean, they had all 19 of us out on
Oh,
that.
really?
With that big, huge, remember when all of us were out
Oh,
there?
Yeah.
Night and day, and for some odd reason, you guys decide that the perfectly good trucks that are driving right beside of us, we shouldn't get in, and we need to walk the 5 miles with rucksacks and people shooting at us, because that's Marine mentality right there. Like, a fucking good truck. Why are we walking still?
Hmm. Yeah. That sounds like us.
I'm still walking. It's new, not done. But so it was really mission. Mission and who kind of fit the best categories. So, I mean, y'all have met me. I mean, I am, and Shannon. So, I mean, we're kind of big country girls. We grew up hunting and fishing, shooting, not much backs us down. We both got pretty much a mouth on us. And CJ and Brandy were kind of the same way. So that's why we got picked for the, I'm going to say the rougher or harder missions. Not that all missions weren't bad, but the ones that the Marines, we typically always went with the Marines. If the Marines called us up, we would go, okay, the Marines need somebody and 1-5 needs somebody. Us 4 would go with the Marines, and they'd pick other females to go with 1-5 and stuff like that. So it was just on who kind of fit what needed to be done. Like Nava, she went on a lot of the school missions, the schoolhouse missions or the hospital missions. She was a little softer. Not that she couldn't do her job. She was just, she just seemed a little softer of a soldier to be, that sounds mean. She was kind of a soft girl. But she just wasn't, all right, if I got to shoot somebody, I'm going to go ahead and shoot her type of person, I guess.
Right.
So that's ended up how it went, is just, Captain Pendry was the one who put us out there. And I mean, we'd already basically been around for how long, so she
Sure.
knew us. And so that's how we got put where we got put.
Yeah, I guess I didn't realize that I was under the impression that it started more about when we were there. I didn't realize that it had been going on for a period of time by the time, like when we got there in March, that had been established.
Yep.
So
You guys, yeah, I remember when we were out actually on a mission. We had that night before they'd got an IED on the back gate going into Junction City. You guys, I don't remember who it was. You weren't rolling into our camp. You were rolling over to what the hell did you rename you guys' camp over there?
Snake Pit.
Snake Pit. Yep. We did not call it. We called it Combat Outpost, but you called it Snake Pit. But you were rolling through, and we were tracking them down, and I distinctly remember this mission because I probably did something that I shouldn't have done, or said something I shouldn't have done, and we always got stuck with them. Everything was calmed down. We got our bad guy. We're sitting there, and we're with the interpreter. He's going off. We're guarding him because that's what ended up happening is when off the boys go, and now we're interpreter guards. Because we couldn't do. I mean, and I kind of got it. We can't go do the big army stuff because that's against the rules. And we're standing there, and so the bad guys are sitting there, and they're got their hands zip tied behind their back, and I think we had a fellow soldier with us, another 1-5 guy. We did, and all of a sudden I'm like, huh. It was kind of one of those moments that you always wonder what an Irishman wears up or a Scotsman wears up his kilt. And there they were sitting there. And I went, huh, I wonder what they wear up their skirts. And I went, well, I didn't need to know that. As I looked down. And then Shannon went, I went, well, that's a dumb idea. And then Shannon, of course, was, what's a dumb idea? I said, you don't need to know. And she's like, I need to know. I said, you really don't want to know. And I'm like, she's like, I need to know. And I went, fine. I just wanted to know what they wore up their skirts. I went, oh, fuck, Ranie, you made me look. And there's what she called me. And I'm like, I told you didn't want to know. What are you guys bitching about? You don't want to know. I do. And then we told him. He's like, oh my God, I looked. And then at that time, you guys come up over the hill and boom, off. You guys get blowed up. And we're like, oh, fuck. So we threw them in the back of the truck. And then we ended up going out to meet y'all. And you're like, we're fine. We know what we're doing. And we're like, good luck to you, buddies. And off we rolled. That's why I remember when I said, well, that's the Marines, huh? Because you guys taken over its area command. And I went, this should be a good long rest 10 months.
Yeah, that's accurate.
Yeah. I was like, damn.
Well, the first thing I remember when we picked you guys up, and I told you this story, but I'll retell it for the recording. We were picking you up for a night mission, but we picked you up specifically. I was with Mobile Assault Platoon 2, and we didn't take you with us, but we did pick you up that day, and we brought you back to Hurricane Point. And that was an interesting discussion I had with our lieutenant. Our lieutenant was JD Stevens, and he didn't know why we were playing taxi in the first place since we weren't the one taking you on mission.
I remember he was mad.
And and so we brought you back, but we were hours before the mission, 8 hours, maybe longer. I don't know. Well, as you might
understand why we had to go over so damn early. And
right.
They told us because we're not risking another convoy. Just get you guys over there. If they want them, they can provide the taxi ride.
Right. Yep. That was what we were told too. And that was commonly what it was. It was like, you're out, it's just your bad luck. Go. And so we went, we picked you up, we brought you back. And I said, well, now what do we do with them? And so every hooch that we had, as you might imagine, might have had a little bit of pornography hanging up on the walls. And so we were all terrified of where we were going to bring any women into our space. And the palace had no place for anybody, according to them. And so we were like, okay, we have one spot. We have this little dingy TV room that has a tiny 12-inch TV and a DVD player and a couch. And so I was like, all right, I'll get you guys a couple bottles of water. Come on over. Here's your digs for the next 8 to 10 hours.
The sad part, what we were used to.
I know. Yeah. What's funny is
That's the life of living over on Junction City.
I was going to say you were happy, which that also I do remember this very specifically. You were happy because it had AC.
Yep.
And so it was one of our only AC'd areas. And so I was like, all right, you guys need anything, whatever. And you're like, hey, this is going to seem weird. Do you have Full Metal Jacket? And I was like, I do. I could go get it. So I went back over the hooch. I went and grabbed the DVD and I brought it over. And you're like, do you want to watch Full Metal Jacket? I was like, I think as a Marine, I'm not allowed to say no. Yeah.
I remember you saying that. I remember you saying that.
Yeah.
I spent like a week hunting down people. I'm like, man, that and Heartbreak Ridge.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, why the hell do we have Marine shit? I'm like, look, those are like fucking classics.
They were.
And they're like, well, look, you got to spend all day with the Marines. Make them watch those damn movies with you. You know they're going to have those.
Yeah.
Like, well,
I don't think I ever found Heartbreak Ridge, but I threw on Full Metal Jacket.
We ended up watching it.
Did you? Nice. And I remember I sat there and I watched at least half the movie, maybe more, and we were rolling laughing, watching that stupid ass movie. And I was like, damn, like I don't understand why I don't understand why we don't have more people with us. I don't know. It was it was a very much a bonding moment in that I was like, well, this could be all the time. I don't see why this is a weird thing, but you guys went out on mission with Rainmaker after that for a cordon search, and it was in the middle of the night and we ended up providing outer cordon. And I don't remember anything else other than that mission, but that was before the first Battle of Ramadi.
Yep.
So it was a very early mission.
Yep. I remember the very first mission we went on with them, and we started kind of getting on who always got us. And I think it was rock, paper, scissors, and the two platoons lost, quite honestly, is what I think happened. Girls. And it's like, all right, I guess this is who we get. And I remember coming up, and and the one thing about it is, I ended up retiring out as a first sergeant, and I spent a lot of time, actually ended up in a training unit. So I actually went and trained some Marines. I went out to San Diego and trained out there, the HIMARS out with them.
Oh, nice.
And so, I ended up a little bit longer, learning a little bit more lingo and all that crap like that. And, I understand more of the different languages and everything, but it was, it is different, the military structure. So like the Army, I'll tell you right now, you guys put a lot of emphasis on corporals, which you should, because, Marine corporals get a lot more than, Army corporals. And Army corporal, that is some E4 sucker that just got a shit ton of responsibility with no extra pay. And any E4 out there is going, no, I don't want that, So for our very first mission, we get up, and the little team I'm on, I do not remember the little corporal's name. I shouldn't call it. He was little compared to me, but I was 6 foot tall then before I started shrinking. So everybody's little. But he's a little guy, and I'm an E6, and he comes up to me and he's like, how's this rank structure going to work? I said, look, Corporal, I'll tell you right now, I don't run infantry shit. I said, yeah, I know how to shoot a weapon, do basic soldier tasks. I said, but I'm not a Marine and I'm not a team leader. You're a team leader. I said, I'm not going to tell you how to fix maintenance shit. Or you don't tell me how to fix maintenance shit. I won't tell you how to lead a team. How about that? And he's like, oh. I said, so you're the boss. Oh, okay. I can work with that. And that's one of the reasons I always kind of stuck with him, because he knew, Shannon was an E4. So he always knew that I wasn't going to buck him. I could fit seamlessly in there. I'm like, all right, yeah, I'll stick in the back of the stack. I know I'm not running your team. Nope. And so that's one of the reasons, because E6 and I'm now in a stack, that's a little team. And that, like I said, corporals run those teams.
Yeah.
So, that was very confusing, I know, initially, because that little guy come over to me, and I know he was like, "How this bitch is going to take my job." And I'm like, I went into the military with the mindset of why I became a maintenance person, besides college money, is because I really thought, man, if I know how to fix it, if I end up in war, I can fix a piece of vehicle equipment and I can leave. No, that does not work out that way. I found out, in Iraq. A lot of people ask, how'd that work out for you? That didn't work out.
So can you do you have any specific memories of some of the like actually performing your role as a lioness, especially perhaps with the weapons company?
The very first one, and it was with that corporal and the Rainmaker stack team. And so I was on the one side of the team, Shannon was in the other. And we did a night mission, did the knock and search, knock and greet, all that crap. And I swear, you guys draw some bad luck. It's like no mission went off without the damn Marines causing chaos somehow, that we did not get something thrown off on us, something shooting at us, a damn IED, RPG. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? So, I mean, very first mission, we go out and all of a sudden, and I think you guys were pretty new still with the whole of how everything goes off, because, it's starting to get kind of light out. And I'm like, ooh, this is not a good time. And then the prayers start going and everybody keeps going. And I'm like, ooh, they're praying. They're praying. This is not a good time. Everybody keeps going. And I'm like, bam, bam, bam. I'm like, you guys are, and everybody starts running. I'm like, where are you guys running to? What the hell is the plan? And off y'all go. And I'm like, well, fuck. And I just start, heading with, because I'm like, I am not getting left behind. That's when I found out I run a lot faster than what I really ever knew.
Adrenaline's a hell of a thing.
The Army has this whole thing, no soldier left behind, but Marines don't really give a shit. They just think everyone's going to keep up with y'all. And I'm like, we're just running. And I'm like, we get all over the place. And I'm like, okay, now what are we doing? And I'm like, I lost half my stack. And then they circle back around. And I'm like, oh, there you guys are. And I'm like, and then we get back on the trucks and drop us back off. And I went, that was the most chaotic shit I've ever seen in my entire life. I'm like, what the hell happened? But everybody was just like, we're killing everything. If it's not camo time, we're killing it. And I'm like, okay, it just sounds like a plan. My funniest thing ever is, I think it was when it was really bad out there, and that we was that the time when the commander caught us out and didn't realize that we got fired on. It was one of the missions, and I don't remember if it was during the big push when everything just went to shit. Some of them just blurring together, but it was one of the same damn time frames. I mean, April was rough in 2004. And I mean, it just seemed like we were on back. I was out on the gate more than I was even in my bunk. I think I spent all of April out the wire.
Yeah.
And I think I spent overnight on combat outpost because they couldn't get us back, if I remember right even. And we were out, Shannon and I, Brandy, and CJ on the other stack. And I don't remember ever running into CJ and Brandy. But we're out on this mission. Once again, we start at night. In comes the day. There goes the prayer bells and the call to. I'm like, oh, God damn it. And we start hauling ass. This, of course, is when, bullets are flying at us and we are running with, once again, no great plan. I think no one told me the plan. And we're chucking along and Shannon falls down. There's bullets spraying everywhere. And I went, oh, fuck. I just got a lioness kill. Oh, fuck. Shit. And I got to turn around. I'm like, Morgan. And she pops up. I went, I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. This was like the worst day ever. And I went, okay. And then we take off running again because, she had the saw. And what happened was, she saw her going over the field. The saw hit her in the back of the knee and she just went down. And okay.
Oh, yeah.
And then we're running out along and we're down. All right. We're fired. What are we firing at? And I'm sitting right next to this guy. I don't even know who this guy is next to me. This guy is not on my team and we're firing. I'm like, where are we aiming? And he's like, that way. I said, okay. I pull my gun up and I'm getting ready to shoot something. And out comes some rain. I'm like, I said, no, aim that way. And he's like, well, don't even matter. The Marines, I'm like, what the fuck is happening? The bullets were coming at you, just shoot at them. I'm like, where are you aiming at? What are you suppressing firing? And then all of a sudden, bullets come in. All right, I'm aiming this way. Bang, 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 bang. And the guy, all of a sudden, he's like, fucking hit me. And I went, and he's, crouched right next to me. And I thought, oh, son of a bitch. And he's bleeding out his calf. And I'm like, dude, you just got shot. And he's like, yeah, I got shot. Fuckers. And he gets up and starts running. I'm like, hey, dude, don't run. I mean, maybe sit down. And he's like, I'm getting that motherfucker. And off he rolls, running after him. Like, what is going on here? And I'm like, okay. Some dude just got shot right next to me. I mean, our calves were side by side. Got his calf. Lucky day. And they're like, why aren't you just laying fire down? I'm like, I only have 210 bullets. Here's some more rounds. And I'm like, put them in my pockets. And I'm like, we go throughout. I mean, we're using RPG holes in there. All of a sudden, we're coming around. And that's when the company commander, the one that got his the helmet shot, and he decided to keep wearing that helmet with a bullet hole in it because it was lucky helmet.
Yeah, that was Captain Weiler. That was our weapons company commander.
Yes. So he come around and he goes, what are you two doing out? And I'm like, I'm following the team. He's like, get in the truck. And so now we're sitting there. It's like 2 lone Marines and us and all the trucks. And it gets like quiet. And I'm like, I don't like this. I'm like, Shannon, you put your back to mine. She's like, you got it. And so we're sitting back to back and we got one gunner up. And I'm like, and you hear the fight come closer. And all of a sudden, here comes our team again. And, and the gunner's not paying a lick bit attention to us because he's like, I just got fucking stuck with the chicks. And I'm like, and the team comes up again. He's like, what are you guys doing here? And I'm like, well, the company commander told us to sit here. He's like, you want to sit in a truck? No. He's like, well, come on. I'm like, off we go. We start running after the team again. And they're like, well, so we go with them all the way around. And I was like, so, the end of the day, we get back in the truck. I'm like, all right, this is pretty good. Go back out the combat outpost. But I think the longest story I ever remember is that one day that was just forever mission. And it was just, we went through everything. because we went on a mission, and our units were out too, because the tracks, our guys' tracks were right beside us. We're out. I mean, everything was going down, and we get all done. I mean, and this is, we must have gone 12 miles, 14 miles that day. I mean, we hit every point of, and it truly, we got to go back to combat outpost. I'm like, whew, all right, we'll get back in these trucks and we'll go on home. But we didn't. We ruck marched back to combat outpost as to show his strength to those Ramadi people. And I went, why are we ruck marching? I'm like, I'm so tired. Well, and the guys are like, well, get in the truck. I'm not getting in the truck. Chan's like, I ain't getting in the truck. And we walked all the way back, and it was like, so we get back there, and every other female lioness was there. And that was the one that, the mission that everybody was out. All 19 were out. And I think we were the last unit in, if I remember right.
Mm-hmm.
And Captain Pendry came up to her. She's like, where the fuck have you gone, guys? Where were you guys? And I'm like, they made us walk back. And she went, what? What? I said, they made us walk. From where? I went, Ramadi. And she went, okay. She's like, you good on ammo? And I had pockets full of ammos, because by then, weapons company realized that, we had to account for 210 rounds. And so we weren't, we just didn't pray and spray like you guys did. We had to have to come back. We had to back brief. We had to count our rounds. And they're like, you really have to do all that? I'm like, oh, yeah, we have to account for everything in the Army. And they're like, here's some rounds, just some rounds. Every time we went over there, you want some rounds?
Yeah, good. I'm glad somebody took care of you at least.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'll tell you what, it was pretty funny. When we ended up leaving Iraq, now I had my wrecker. I had my 8 cases of 50 cal ammo. My cases of ammo. My TC had a saw, so we had his pork chops, and then we had 4 other pork chops. I had about 16,000 rounds of 5.56, and I had grenades. I had all kinds of stuff, and they're like, "Where did you get this stuff?" And I'm like,
yeah, that's right.
And they're like, It just came to me. And they're like, the Marines give you that shit? Maybe.
Yeah, good.
I'm like, I wasn't turning down free ammo. If I had a weapon a grenade, I'll take 2.
Philosophy is fire superiority. That's for sure. That's
Yeah. Yeah. Well, what I think you're describing, especially with the when you're running across the street, I think that was April 7th when that happened, and then April 10th was the day that everybody was out. Everybody was out. Your tracks are out. I mean, literally everybody was out because we surrounded the whole north of the city, the Sophia district, and did the house-to-house search.
They had the MI and the blaring rock and heavy metal. I remember all that.
Yeah, they played. They started with Drowning Pool, let the bodies hit the floor, and then they went from that to Slayer.
I do remember rocking the Casbah for a while.
Yeah. And then the interpreters yelling, "Come out, you cowards! We'll fight you in the street." And yeah, that was a 16-hour affair essentially. Started before sunup.
Yep.
So reeling it back just a tiny bit, only because I have a feeling I know your answer. Was there any training at all? Was there any at least cultural training of what to do?
So we got very little, and that was probably our biggest complaint. As a female soldier, you get very little soldier skills. I mean, you get the bare bones you get in basic. And basically, I mean, you get like refresher training, but you don't get like infantry skills.
Yeah.
The other thing is the Marine language and Army language, while similar, are not really that close.
No. Yeah.
You know, it's not the same language because you'll sit there. It's no different than a head. It's well, what the hell's a head? It's a bathroom. I'm like, hey, you got a latrine, and everybody look at you. I'm like, I don't know, where's the bathroom at? Oh, you mean a head? I'm like, sure. I guess that's what we call it, And it was stuff like that, but it was the same even in military speak that was hard. And now we got some on how to touch them, how to talk to them, especially with the females. I mean, they mainly talk to us more about how to talk to the females, how to talk to the children, and that kind of stuff. So we got a lot of that cultural kind of stuff, but it was a lot of it was to learn how we went, how to talk to them when we went into them. Like some of the places, especially, I mean, it always just amazed me how they lived over there and still live. I mean, quite honestly, is because you'd go into one of these houses and some of them would be huts and you'd be like, okay, yeah, that's how I pictured that this looked in. But you'd go into one. My big thing is it was one of the 1-5 missions, and we got into one of the Casbahs, and I'm like, oh, I can't wait to get in this thing. Oh, I can't wait. This has got to be great. And it wasn't. So I know everybody has that grandma back in the day that had the wooden handle furniture, and the couch had the old windmills and all that stuff like that.
Yeah.
That was their fancy furniture covered in plastic. I went, okay. And I mean, they had like 3 pieces of that furniture, and in their bedrooms, all the women still slept together with the children with no AC, because the women didn't deserve no AC. They all were on the same mats that we went down to the Haji Marks to put on our cots. Those plastic. That's what they slept on. Whereas meanwhile, you went into the men room. Those were actually pretty nice. They actually had beds set up, but they commingled. The men all got that. They had the AC. I mean, because we ended up, I don't remember how I ended up getting stuck in one of the drink the teas and eat the food.
Yes.
Don't touch anything with your left hand. And, you got to sit in back. And I'm like, got it. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute, we're eating this food? And they're like, oh, yeah, you got to eat that food. If they give it to you, you got to eat it, drink the tea and the whole tea ceremony. And I'm like drinking the tea, and I'm like, woo, that had like 200 pounds of sugar in it. And I'm like,
it did.
And I'm like, and the food, and I'm like, I am gonna, quite honestly, get the shit so bad from this. I'm like, I'm just getting dysentery. I just know it. You got to eat it, and you're like, thank you. But I did it. I thought, and I went in. I'm like, but the wire was on the outside of the wall, just like the shacks. And I went, well, this was disappointing. I'm like, this was not, I thought it was going to be cool. I thought it was going to be like, I'm like, nope, they all live like this. I'm like, this is awful.
Yeah, that was very striking, at least. And again, I didn't enter as many houses as Blake did, but you would go up to some of these places that looked like mansions and there would be nothing on the inside whatsoever. The external presentation was gorgeous.
Yep.
Like you would go in there, it would be a room with one chair, just a single chair against the wall.
And that was for the man of the house.
Right. So you were talking, I mean, and we've talked about it on here before that, you know, in this early phase of the war, we were having to invent it as we go. You know, we were creating the tactics and the theory behind a lot of it. And it sounds like you were doing the same with what you were being asked to do. Is there anything in particular that you remember that was like, oh no, this is a piece of knowledge, or this is a tactic, or this is a way of doing that then you passed on to the people that relieved you?
We actually took them with us. I remember that, not with the Marines. Because I mean, we taught the next group that came in with us with the 1-5 Marines, because they went on missions, we went on missions, and we just took them with us. It's like, hey, this is what you do. You know, that's how the Lioness mission kept going. Because of course, you know, the Marines were still there and still needed the Lionesses.
Yeah.
You know, and then it was, it helped that it was kind of weird and kind of interesting too, is the unit to replace us was actually second to none, second ID out of Korea. And our original company commander driver, Taylor was his name, Specialist Taylor. He actually had left us. He came on levy and he left us to go to Korea. And he's like, goodbye, suckers. He actually tried to go with us to Iraq, but he's like, goodbye, suckers, going to Korea. I ain't going there. And sure shit, if he wasn't the one that replaced us.
That works.
You know, so there was a few of them in there that we knew from, you know, because I mean, it was engineers are engineers, and it's a small, you know, it's just kind of like the Marine family, you know, engineers and Marines, there's only a pocket full of you.
Right.
You know, so, while the Army's a little bit bigger than the Marine Corps, you know, they come back around. So we knew a few of them. Yeah. And so that helped because, you know, it's still the dumbest thing, though. The company commander, she was also a female. She came up and she's like, I just want you to go ahead and we're just going to take a convoy around and I want to see what Ramadi looks like. And Captain Pennery went, no.
Nice.
Well, what do you mean? She's like, I am not jeopardizing my soldiers, so you can take a tour of the town. They literally thought they would be able to get in their car, or, you know, get in the Humvees, go down there and find something to eat down in Iraq. And she's like, have you not watched the news where you're at? She's like, that's not how this is. And they ended up they got in one of the firefights and everything else like that. And their pucker, you know, they sucked the cotton off the seats and they realized that maybe this is a little bit, and then they took it a little bit more serious. But yeah, it was just like, I mean, I remember sitting I can't remember, a platoon sergeant meeting or whatever, when she was sitting there talking and, hey, we need to. And I'm like, I am not taking my wrecker out so you guys can have a drive about.
Right. No tourist activity.
I'm like, this is absolutely crazy. And so we were able to take some of the Lionesses out. We talked with some that we knew were going to end up, you know, because we talked to the commanders, hey, you know, you're going to have some that are going to go with Marines, some with this. This is kind of the missions we were going with. You need to have females that are more on like this, which ones, because they need to go more with Ruthig or talk to Ruthig and Shannon and figure out, and Morgan, and figure out, you know, kind of. And I do think they went on a couple missions with us Marines before we went out. Some of the softer, a little bit, not the ooh fuck missions that were kind of, you know, the easy ones in September.
If you like what you've heard, this is a multi-part episode. Make sure you listen to the rest of the story.